Report enlists experts to provide Kansas farmers and ranchers with the latest information about how COVID-19 is affecting agriculture. Rural Report is a special production of Kansas Farm Bureau in partnership with KFRM's Duane Toews and WIBW's Greg Akagi. On this edition of Rural Report, we're joined by Kansas Farm Bureau President Rich Feltz. Rich, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate the opportunity to kick off this series.
And we're also joined by the president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, Zippy Duvall. President Duvall, thank you for joining us as well.
I'm delighted to be with you, Greg. Thanks for the invitation. Look forward to the conversation.
So, Rich, I'm going to start with you. Can you give us an update on what Kansas Farm Bureau is hearing from members right now and also how you're responding?
Yes, Greg. I think as we listen to membership, just like we all are across the country, people are concerned and they're frustrated. And so it's challenging some of the questions that they come with. But as an organization, I think it's very important for us to relay the message that we are a connected organization. We have input from our folks here in our county, our state, and at the national level. And Zippy will allude to that, I'm sure, here in a little bit in the future. But, we have the opportunity for these individuals to make connections with what's going on. But some things that we're doing is just like initiating this rural report to try to update individuals as to what's going on. On the human health side, we know that there's a lot that can be done there, but trying to stress the importance of social distancing, be careful of what we do, those type of things, that if we're going to work our way out of this, we've got to be proactive in what we do. It's important that we connect people with the issues, and that's one thing we try to do through initiatives like this and through our social media and so many other things. But one thing we're doing uniquely is we've started a program through our foundation, End Hunger, that we can use our foundation funds and work through our federations and our service sides to support some of our local food banks. So they're just some of the things that we're doing here initially, Greg.
And President Duvall, what does this look like as far as the national level is concerned? And for you and for AFBF staff, how do you manage all the questions that I'm sure are coming in from farmers and ranchers in all 50 states?
Well, you can't even imagine the amount of issues that we are facing across America, all of American agriculture. It has touched every commodity, every farmer, every community, and every family. And so we have been just flooded with calls. So how we have managed it, one, got to give a lot of credit to the great talented staffs in all of our state farm bureaus, and then the talented staff that we have at American Farm Bureau. And the key to making that work in this environment that we're working in from home and social distancing is communication. And of course, we all try hard to do that. You never get it perfectly right. But what we have done is every day of the week except for one, we are reaching back to our states, one, telling them what we're doing with the issues that we hear them talking about, and also having a time of listening to what they're hearing from our grassroots so that we can react to those issues. One day it might be myself with all the state presidents. One day it's with our communications director and her staff and all the communications staff across the country. The next day it might be national affairs people across the country with our national affairs people. Every day of the week programs, every day of the week we touching back to our state with the exception of one during the week, and making sure that we're listening and also making sure that we keep a list. We have a running list of issues that we're trying to deal with and find answers for our farmers.
And President Duvall, it's like any other industry right now, and trying to handle this situation, you're really writing new chapters in the book as to how to handle a pandemic situation and what needs to be done too.
We are, and who would have ever thought that the first situation that we've had like this, we'd have to do it at a distance and working from home. So, that was the first challenge. How do you do this? We've all talked about certain parts of our organization maybe being able to work from home, but not being forced into it and still making a big organization run and work efficiently. So first we had to get across that, and the first week or 10 days was just unbelievable. But once we got into a pattern, we've been able to handle that pretty well. The other thing is, how do you continue to communicate with those people that you are in front of every day, and working with those things. I think a lot of evaluating after we get through this and get on the other side, we can evaluate our notes that we're taking as to what we did right, what we did wrong, how could we make improvements, and hopefully set up a system that to meet the next one. I hope we never have to use it.
And Rich, like you and President Duvall, who are both farmers, that kind of makes it a double responsibility in the aspect that you're a farmer trying to do what you need to do this time of year, but also as president of Kansas Farm Bureau, it's kind of the same way too.
Well, it is, Greg, but technology allows us to do a lot of things that in the past we wouldn't have been able to do. So I guess it's expanding multitasking to kind of take care of the affairs of the organization and still the opportunity to slip out from time to time and get a little farm work done.
Joining us here on our edition of the Rural Report is Kansas Farm Bureau President Rich Feltz and American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall. And gentlemen, this question is for both of you. We know that help is on the way because there has been money specifically for agriculture in the CARES Act. The question is, it's the timeline about when we might see those dollars hit producers' bank accounts, and I know that's going to be coming very soon.
Well, you're right. You're right, Greg, and Zippy can allow a lot more to this than I can. He's been closer to the situation. But no, we're fortunate through the CARES Act that there was additional money put into the CCC funding, which funds what has been known partially as our MFP programs. But in addition, there's $9.5 billion that goes to livestock, specialty crops, and other growers. And there's no question, though, that that's a lot of money. But by the same token, there's a tremendous amount of request and need for those fundings. But also, we have a little relief too in the payroll protection plan that has included self-employment and agriculture. But I think if we've heard any one thing, Zippy, in addition to these needs, it needs to be as soon as possible that we need to get that to our growers and producers.
Rich is exactly right. First, when we got into this pandemic and they started talking about the care package, we wanted to make sure that our farmers got what they needed to get our industry through this situation. Of course, we come way short of what we were helping that secretary ask for, but we're very, very blessed and very fortunate and very thankful to get what we got. And then after that, we went into a mode of listening to our states, listening to our grassroots. How do we make our request to USDA of what they do with that care package? And then we very thoughtfully spent about 5 days after they passed the care package, putting together what we heard from our state into a very thoughtful letter to the secretary of what we thought and how he ought to move forward with every commodity. And I can't even imagine how difficult putting that program together has been for them. And I know we're all impatient. We need it to happen now. Rich is exactly right. That's the main message we sent. It needs to happen as quick as possible. But if we just put ourselves in their seat, trying to put a program together, working at a distance and from home to fit every commodity across this great land is a very difficult job. And I've been pushing the secretary for a timeline. And of course, he continues to remind me that it's a difficult system, and they're going to try to do it in the most fair and equitable way that they can, and it was going to take time to do it right. So we all understand that, but that doesn't help the situation at home when we're going to bankers trying to get our operating loans and get our crop in the ground.
President Duvall, it's hard to, I guess, look ahead too far because of the fact that we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know when the economy is going to come back and start running again. But is this just a start? And do you anticipate that agriculture is going to need more of this type of help from the government before 2020 is over with?
Well, if there is a fourth package, we feel sure that agriculture will be part of that. And we've been working for the last 2 weeks with Congress talking about what that next package might look like for agriculture. We do not think that there's enough money in this package to get us through that. Of course, we all as farmers, we want to go back to normal. We want markets, not checks, and that's where we want to go. But right now, we got to figure out how do we get through it. So that fourth package, if it comes along, we have been working hard already to make sure that we're part of that and moving forward.
Joining us here on this edition of the Rural Report, Kansas Farm Bureau President Rich Phelps and American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall. Rich, I'll start with you on this. What has this crisis revealed or solidified about agriculture, and how are farmers and ranchers responding?
Well, I think one thing that's come out of this is the public has realized the importance of food. In the lives of most people, they've never gone to their grocery store and seen the shelves empty of food commodities. I think this is going to have a lasting impact in a lot of the way that we perceive agriculture here in the future. What it's going to allow us to do, though, is change some. We're seeing more of these people that are involved in direct marketing that have been with demand for their products. I think another thing that's going to come out of this, though, is just utilizing the technology that we are today. We have a need for broadband across the country, and I think this is just going to exacerbate the issue that we've got with the need for broadband, not just for those in agriculture, but for rural America when we talk about education and healthcare. As far as farms go, we're a pretty resilient industry. We're going to continue, I think, for the most part. Our people in agriculture have kept a positive attitude, and they're just looking forward to when times normalize and we get back to the things that we do in a normal, everyday manner.
I think Rich has hit all the really important parts. We've learned a lot. I think it's given us an opportunity to talk to our consumer about the food chain, and it's also gave us the opportunity to see the weak links in the situation of the pandemic situation we're going through, where our processing plants are threatened and some of them are closing down. What does that really mean to a system that is set up when a pig is born and a chicken is hatched? They know what day that animal is going to be harvested. And when we get a kink in that chain and it interrupts it, what does that really do to the whole system? And I think we're going to learn a lot of stuff, a lot of things from this, and we're going to be able to work in the future to make sure that we're ready next time, and hopefully we'll never have to use it. But the resilience of our farmers is unbelievable, and we are. I'm every day get up and just proud of the industry that we work for and the men and women that get up and do their job regardless. Really, it makes me think of a military guy. You know, it doesn't make any difference how bad yesterday was or how hard the war was, or how hard the battle was. But you get up, put your boots on the next day, and go back to work. And that's what our farmers are doing each and every day.
Kansas Farm Bureau President Rich Phelps and American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you much, Greg. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Greg. And I want to say to everyone, when we get through this, we're all in it together. When we get through this, we're going to be stronger on the other side. And I had my first meeting with the President of the United States yesterday over the phone. I came away from that meeting with a lot of hope and excitement about cranking our country back up and getting back on track again. Americans are going to be stronger after this is over with, and we're going to be better prepared for the next situation like this, hoping that we never have to go through it.
Kansas Farm Bureau President Rich Phelps and American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall have joined us on this edition of the Rural Report. Coming up on Wednesday, April 22nd, our next edition of the Rural Report will feature Leonard Wolf of United Bank and Trust in Marysville, discussing what's happening with ag lending and finance and likely what's next with PPP since the funding has been used. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Rural Report.